listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. Welcome you to our lap extra mile for today, September the 29th, 2025. We had some controversy at the end of NASCAR in Kansas. The WEC celebrated 100 races young, and the NHRA held a pivotal race in their countdown to one. We'll talk about all of that after we pay some bills. We'll be right back. Start the show right after this. Sit tight.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, and we're back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl riding solo for now in this episode. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we go any further, as you guys know, I do moonlight as a broadcaster for the Saturday Night Hydroplane League, and we restarted Season 8 with a new format with assigned lanes, and at the end of the day, it was the Division II graduates that stood tall over the D1 regulars as Luke Nelson in the Vulcan.com took the win in round number 1, defeating Cy Bowen in second and Mickey Washburn in third on the podium for the first race of this season. And if you guys want to catch up on more of that, we will be back in action on October 11, 2025 in the Indiana Governor's Cup. That'll be round 2 of the season. The 2.5 mile course returns here in Saturday Night Hydroplane League. So make sure you check that out on youtube.com/Saturday Night Hydroplane League. So before we get into the controversy that was in NASCAR, let's get into what happened in the 6 Hours of Fuji and the NHRA with the Midwest Nats. We'll start with the 6 Hours of Fuji, and it was a banner day. It was the 100th race for the WEC that has spanned over a decade, a series that has seen some trials and tribulations, including the death of Hypercar, seemingly the death of the championship at that point, the introduction of the Hypercar rule set that we're racing under now, the complete golden age we are in now when it comes to manufacturer support in the Hypercar ranks, the potential of melding this into, similar to GT3, one combined category of regulations for Hypercar at the top class when the next rule set comes into play. And on that 100th race, it was Fuji, where the championship would celebrate race 100. We started in Sebring for the 1,000-kilometer race. Now for race number 100 was run in Fuji, and the Alpine Endurance team, the number 35, takes their first win, and the first win for Alpine since Monza in 2022. Now, this race was led by the Cadillac duo. However, an early pit stop was was shortchanged by a safety car incident and a late race full course caution at the 2-hour mark after one of the BMWs got into trouble, and then a full course caution later in the event doomed Cadillac's opportunity of getting back to the top step of the podium. Their highest placing car finished 6th, the number 12. The number 38 for Cadillac, Hertz Team Joda, finished a disappointing 13th. A rough day for Cadillac where they had a strong start, but the cautions fell at the absolute worst time, and it put them behind in a place that they could not come back from, unfortunately. But that allowed Alpine and Peugeot to play some tire strategy, which worked out. And the Alpine number 35 takes the win. The Alpine number 36, unfortunately, was mired back in 14th, but the 35 takes the win. Clap it up for Peugeot, the number 93. That car's really come alive here in the second half of the season. The 93 finishes in the second spot. Both Peugeots getting into the points, with the 94 finishing in 10th. Number 6, number 5, Penske, Porsche, 3rd and 4th. Meanwhile, it was a horror show for Ferrari. They got caught out. The number 83A, of course, had damage on the right side for most of the event, which hampered their speed. The 51 Ferrari finished in the 15th spot after some issues with penalties due to track limits, and the number 50 finished in the 12th spot, which tightens up the championship in the WEC going into the final round in Bahrain. Now, the maximum amount of points you can get is 39 in one race, which means it's going to be all to play for in both classes in the standings. As we go over to the WEC.com website, as soon as it will load, we will go over the championship point standings. And we will go by, let's try to find it, because unfortunately they have a bunch of them put together. We'll go by the driver's standings. The number 51 currently leads the standings of Alessandro Pierguidi, Antonio Giovinazzi, and James Calado, 115 points, to the 102 points of Philip Hansen, Robert Kubica, and Yifei Yi, in the number 83. Kevin Estra and Lawrence Vanthor in the number 6 are third with 94 points. Alex Lynn, Norman Nato, and Will Stevens in the number 12 Cadillac. They are within striking distance of the championship. It will be between those 4 cars heading into the championship at Bahrain in November. Meanwhile, in GT3, it was the number 81 TF Sport that ended up taking the win, putting Corvette on the top step of the podium and setting up an juicy GT3 battle when we go to Bahrain, where Manthey First Form, who leads the championship with 105 points, will have Vista AF Corsa and both TF Sport cars chasing them for the title at the end of the season in November. So 4 cars in each class going for the championship in a 8-race championship with 6 to 24-hour races. For 4 cars to be involved in the championship at the end shows the quality of competition in the GT3, LMGT3, and hypercar ranks. Still trying to work out the BOP standings with hypercar, which is intensified the conversation for a unified point standing or unified chassis formula for hypercar, which seems to be gaining steam going forward, which, if we're being honest, 75% of the cars are already using the LMDH format, so you might as well just move to a unified championship with one set of rules. Maybe put it with LMDH. This way, it's even easier if teams want to do WEC and IMSA because it's the same car in both championships. Now, it is that way right now, just with the 2 different formulas, but a unified formula, that way, everybody is on the same footing. The BOP is a bit simpler because even though each car will have its own stylings, you are changing the rules on cars of the same platform because there are some power differences between the regular hypercar and the LMDH hypercar, which is one of the reasons why we're having all these issues with BOP. That can be changed with the unified format, and it opens up a lot more cars to enter. I mean, look at GT3. You can pick up a rock, throw it at a map, or take a dart, throw it at a map. That country has a GT3 series. It is that accessible of a championship. Now, what would an Afghanistan GT3 championship look like? I have no idea, and we're going to move away from there now. But it's going to be interesting to see what the WEC looks like in the future, but I cannot wait for Bahrain, the 8th of November. I believe that is a 6-hour race. Check the calendar just to make sure. As we started in the Middle East, we will end in the Middle East. We went to Qatar, Imola, Spa in Belgium, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the incredible, great endurance classic, Interlagos in Brazil, Coda in the United States, Fuji in Japan, and now we wrap up in Bahrain. Their calendar doesn't work the way as everybody else's, but we'll be racing, yes, in the Bapco Energy's 8 hours of Bahrain to end the season. So it is an 8-hour race like I thought. It'll be November 8th, 2025. You can watch that race on Max in the United States or through the WEC with their paid promotion or with their paid platform if you want to buy that on YouTube or from the WEC website. So from there, we will go into the National Hot Rod Association, the Midwest Nats, the turning point in the countdown to one. Only 3 races left in the NHRA Championship. We'll go over the finals before we take our break here. Doug Coletta picks up the win in Top Fuel, 379 with a 6 at 327.98 miles per hour over Ida Zetterstrom, who had a great day playing spoiler, took down Tony Stewart, Kyle Wurtzel, who took out Josh Hart, and Antron Brown to get to the final. Unfortunately, Ida, in one of her sparing starts this season, ends up falling short. And Brittany Force, unfortunately, this is going to be the tale of her 2025. Her and Grubby. That car can set some speed records. They set the track record on Friday night with a 340 mile per hour pass. That car just has not had the consistency this year, and it shows again out in round 1 against Justin Ashley, who would end up falling to Sean Langdon. But Brittany spins the tires, only goes 532. Justin Ashley gets off the line quicker than her anyway, goes straight down Broadway for 375 with a 3 at 331 miles per hour. Puts Brittany Force on the trailer. In Funny Car, Austin Prock has been the dominant story. However, Matt Hagan is closing in after Prock goes down in round number 2 to Jack Beckman. Hagan goes all the way to face Austin Prock's teammate and takes him down 397 with a 9 at 329.34 miles per hour. Jack Beckman a 432 at 314, and that tightens up the points considerably between Hagan and the championship leader Austin Prock. We will talk about when we get to the points in just a little bit. In Pro Stocks, it was Greg Anderson closing in on Dallas Glenn. He defeats Matt Hartford in the final, 653 with a 1 at 209.33 miles per hour. For Anderson, Hartford goes 209.49 himself, 654 with a 3. That race was won on the tree with Anderson with a 21 reaction time to a 38 reaction time by Matt Hartford. And finally, in Pro Stock Motorcycle, it feels weird to say this, but it's been a while since we've seen Gage Herrera take the win. Braden Davis, who took down Richard Gadsden in the semis, was 0-1 red. threw away a 677 with a 9 at 200.53 miles per hour. Gage Herrera goes 679 with a 1 at 199. He was 48 to the good. He takes the win in what has been a challenging start to the countdown for Gage. But as we go to the point standings, we'll go through all of our professional categories. This race was pretty consequential. Doug Coletta extends his championship lead to 86 points over Justin Ashley. 127 points back is Sean Langdon. 153 is Tony Stewart. And at this point, if you are an event back or more, it's probably getting close to sunset for your championship. You've got to start running the table in the next the next two events. And you got to hope Doug Coletta starts running into trouble, because Doug has been the dominant power in Top Fuel, and no one's been able to solve the mystery of that Coletta-powered Mac Tools Dragster. As we move on to our next round, which will be, so they get the standing, the schedule. Lord have mercy. Next race will be in Texas, the Texas NHRA Fall Nationals. Then they'll go out to Nevada, October 30th to November 2nd for the NHRA Nevada Nats in Las Vegas. And the In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals, November 13th to the 16th, to wrap the season in Pomona. So, moving on to Funny Car. And it is a 3-horse race between Austin Prock, Matt Hagan, Jack Beckman. Matt taking that win, and Austin Prock falling in the second round. Hagan now 20 points, 1 round away from Austin Prock and switching the championship lead with 3 to go. Jack Beckman 65 back, Ron Capps 125 back, and Daniel Wilkerson 137 back. Austin Prock sitting on 2,361 points as your points leader. Dallas Glenn with 2,426 points leads only by 25 points to Greg Anderson, and it's 160 points back to Matt Hartford. At this point, the championship is between Dallas and Greg. I don't think anyone else has anything for those two cars in the NHRA Pro Stock division. And a Pro Stock motorcycle, it's Richard Gadsden who leads the way. His lead was cut down to 29 to Gage Herrera. Richard currently sitting with 2,379 points. Gage, 2,350. Matt Smith, 53 back. And John Hall, 115 back in fourth. Angie Smith, Braden Daniels, Gianna Evaristo, all those drivers, riders, at least one event back, including John Hall. They're going to have to run the table if they want anything to do in this championship. So that'll wrap it up for the NHRA for now. Again, they will be back in action in Texas at the end of October. October 8th through 12th. It'll be 3 to go right now in the championship. Texas NHRA Fall Nat's going to be a consequential race in this championship. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into that Hollywood 400 conversation about how you should or should not run your team cars and the chance that the full season championship could be coming back to the to NASCAR, and whether or not it will follow for other series. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile of iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And we're back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go ahead and get into NASCAR. The Hollywood 400. That race was won, surprisingly, by Chase Elliott, and we'll get to why right now, and we'll get to why presently. For those that watched that race, we had multiple overtimes due to a couple of incidents. The first due to Zane Smith spinning on the backstretch on the second restart. Zane Smith, and actually, no, that race was not, sorry, I'm trying to remember how this sequence of cautions went, but we had an issue with Carson Hocevar getting spun out, and then Zane Smith had a wild incident where he got pushed up onto the side, rode the wall in a crash reminiscent of the Xfinity Series, then the Busch Series with Martin Truex Jr., at Richmond back in the early 2000s. That car ended up flipping over. Zane Smith was okay. But then we go into the final lap. Restart, battle between Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin puts his own car in the wall. It checks up the 5 Toyotas that were battling for this win at the end. And who was there to pick up the pieces but Chase Elliott on 4 new tires, says, thanks guys, you go fight, I'm going to go take the win, wins the Hollywood 400. And the fallout from fans, particularly 2311 fans, was pretty much immediate towards Denny Hamlin for pretty much, it's not really an unwritten rule, but the unwritten rule to the unwritten rule in motorsports. Don't wreck the car you own. On that last lap, now, you want to talk about whatever was going on with the power steering with the 11, I don't care. They're going for the win, I get it. On a certain level, you don't put the car you own in the wall. Now, God rest his soul, because we lost him doing this. Dale Earnhardt Sr., when his team was leading the Daytona 500, that man was blocking the field so that his team could win. Unfortunately, it cost him his life. But when you're the owner, I'm not saying Denny had to do that. If you're going to race for the win, fine, I get it. But you don't drive in, door the guy whose paycheck you pay, by the way, and then you leave the bottom open so wide an Abrams tank could drive through there because the other two Toyotas that were behind you also got choked up because you did this. And not only do you screw your own team out of the win, you screw your manufacturer group out of the win. Because none of the Toyotas win, and Chase Elliott, a Chevy, wins for the second time this season. I know they were hot in TRD this morning. And of course, Danny went on to actions detrimental and tried to explain in a way the usual platitudes you would expect after you do a dumb thing as a driver. You know, I'm racing to win. I'm the driver on Sunday, not the owner, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it, dude. And of course, people online trying to prove it. Well, it was a side draft. Well, it was this. What would you expect him to do? He's racing for the win. You don't race your own car like that. I'm not saying don't go for the win. I'm not saying don't race hard. When it is the car you have to pay for, you don't race it like that. Because now you pissed off the people that work for you. How are you going to deal with that on Monday? Tuesday competition meeting is going to be very interesting between all of them. I will say that. And here's the other problem, Dennis. Pulling this move off, going into the Roval, which we know is going to be won by Shane Van Gisbergen because it is a road course in NASCAR. Ross Chastain, 13 points back. Bubba Wallace, 26 points back. Tyler Reddick, 29 points back. Austin Cindric, 48 points back. Two of those drivers I named, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, belong to Denny Hamlin. Both of those cars were in the top 5 on the final restart. Reddick finishes back in the top 10. Bubba finishes 5th after getting doored by his teammate. They now have to go try to beat Shane at the Roval. Good luck. They need stage points and help now if they're going to get into the playoffs. Or continue into the playoffs into round number 2. On the flip side, you've now secured both of the Hendrick cars. Actually, there's 3 Hendrick cars remaining in the playoffs. You've now secured that all 3 of, at least 2 of those cars are going to make it. Because Elliott won, Larson is 54 up, so if he has a decent stage 1, he's going to go on to the round of 8. And William Byron, he's 40 points back. He just has to have a couple of good stages, and he's in. Meanwhile, your manufacturer is going to be down to 3. Yes, it's all of your cars, but the 2 cars you own are out. That's a great move. I'm sure Michael Jordan is happy with that. As you can see, I'm a little heated about how that race ended. And unfortunately, for Bubba Wallace fans, it's another chapter of pain. Because so many races we should have won have ended up with Bubba either in the wall or not winning the race due to whatever circumstances. And now we got to go to the Roval. The one spot I didn't want to be in because of a bad New Hampshire and then what happened here in Kansas. And to be honest, 2311 crapped the bed at New Hampshire. So now this is the spot they're in. And it's unfortunate. So now they've got to try to figure out the win at Chaos Incarnate, also known as the Charlotte Roval. We'll see. But a lot of conversations been going on with NASCAR and ratings and the playoffs. And The Athletic reported late last week that the playoffs as we know it may be gone next season as NASCAR is considering drastic changes to the playoffs or a complete elimination of the format entirely. Now, for my side of it, I really don't care. Just make a decision and stick with it. But here's what I will say. If we get that championship and we get one person running away with it and the championship is locked up before the end, I don't want to hear it. Not on YouTube, not on Twitter, not on Blue Sky, not for the few people on Threads. The first person that complains about the championship being boring because it's already decided, you are getting thunder punched in the throat. Because this is what y'all asked for. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to get into the arguments about playoffs versus regular season. They have been made. They have been done to death. At this point, if they change it, I don't want to hear it. Because the needless complaints are how we got here in the first place. Now, after 20 years, if we're going back to how, quote, it should be, we'll see. But I'm not entertaining any of the complaints or any of the comments about the championship being boring at that point. You asked for it, live with it. Now, personally, as someone who is a fan of Jeff Gordon when he was in the sport, Jeff Gordon should have 7 titles. Unfortunately, the playoffs took that away from him. Jimmy Johnson has those 7 titles instead. You can say that it changed NASCAR history. It was going to. It's a completely different playoff format. And then we're going to change it again, getting away from the playoff format. For the better or for the worse, hey, we'll see. But I can't wait to see what changes NASCAR will make. They're supposed to be announcing that soon. Hopefully, we hear how that's going to work. And hey, if we go back to the full 36, I'm all for it. But honestly, I don't think you should drastically change the playoffs. I think at this point, it's either playoffs or full 36. You have nipped and tucked and massaged on the playoffs, and it's still rejected soundly. So I think it is a situation at this point where you either stick with the playoffs as is, or you change it back to full 36 and say, look, we're not touching it anymore. This is how it's going to be. We're going to keep the stages as it is. I think with stages, it's going to keep the championship close, and we go on from there. That's how I feel about it. But I really don't want to feel like hey, aren't you so glad you have this instead of the playoffs this year? I don't care. I don't care about that either. Just watch the races and be happy. I really don't care. So, at this point, we're going to get ready to wrap it up for this edition of the Extra Mile. We will be back next Monday. Cannot wait to see how the racing goes. And we will have, next time out, we will have the NASCAR Cup Series going on to, head over to the schedule page. Go away, Bob's Discount Furniture Car. We'll have the Roval, Bank of America Roval. You can watch on ESPN, sorry, not ESPN, the USA Network at 3 p.m. Eastern. Formula One should be back as well, as there is a pivotal battle in that championship, as we will actually be moving on to the Singapore Grand Prix. That will be this Sunday, October 5th, in what is a turning point race. You can watch that one early in the morning at 8 a.m. on ESPN in a pivotal battle in that championship as well. But we're going to take a break. Actually, no, we're not going to take a break. We're going to say goodbye for this edition of the Extra Mile. I am Darryl. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.